Good morning, everyone. Let's just wait for another 2-3 minutes and then we can start with our webinar. All right, let's start. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Managing Reputation Risk webinar. I'll just take you through a brief introduction about what we at Riskpro are as a company, and following which we can start with our webinar later. And the webinar will go on for about brief 45 to 50 minutes, post which we will take questions. So all the participants right now are on mute mode. And if you do have any questions during the course of the webinar, please mention your questions in the chat box and we'll address them towards the end of the session. So brief introduction on Riskpro. Yes. Yeah. So we're an Indian management consulting firm, and we've been in the business for more than 7 years, and we're spread across 7 different cities, and we have a team of about 45 associates. So our main business verticals are into risk advisory, trainings, technology, and recruitment. As I mentioned earlier, this will be the agenda for our webinar. And if you have any questions, please ask them during the chat. Suchita, Mona, I'll now hand over to you for the presentation.
Sure. Good morning, all. Am I audible? Good morning, all. Thanks, Anita, for the introduction. The topic for today's webinar is Reputation Risk Management. I am Mona Seth, and I work as EVP Risk Advisory for RiskPro. Am I audible?
Yes, Mona, I can hear you.
Sure. All right, I wasn't sure, sir. So yeah, good morning, all. Yeah, so the topic for today's webinar is Reputation Risk Management. I am Mona Seth, and I work as EVP Risk Advisory for RiskPro. I have about 18 plus years of experience, and my key areas of expertise include internal auditing and operational reviews, enterprise risk management and assessments, control reviews, SOX compliance reviews, and fraud investigations. I have diverse industry experience, including IT, ITS, consulting, chemical, rating agencies, manufacturing, construction, etc. And I am happy to be sharing my ideas on the topic of reputation risk management today. So let's start. The takeaways from today's webinar include a few examples of reputation risks. An introduction to reputation risks, a few examples of reputation risks, case studies of reputation risks. We have discussed one case study in detail and shared synopsis of other major reputation risk cases. We shall then discuss the reputation risk measurement and mitigation framework and introduce the auditing methodology of reputation risks. So let's start with the basics. That is, what is reputation risk, the regulation of reputation risk. So reputation risk is damage to the value of company's brand name, that is the reputation of an organization, caused by negative public opinion. So let's look at what really reputation is. Reputation is an expectation of behavior from an organization by different stakeholders. For example, customers have expectations when they buy products or services. Similarly, employees have them from an organization when they accept jobs. Vendors have them when they partner with an organization. Creditors and investors have them. Even regulators have them. So reputation is nothing but the sum total of all expectation towards an organization. Now, when these expectations are not met or managed well, it leads to loss of an organizational reputation. Amongst the various stakeholders, customers are the most important stakeholders for managing reputation risks. We have already discussed the other stakeholders, like other stakeholders include regulators, senior executives, employees, investors. I would now here like to reiterate a study that was done by World Economic Forum, which was done way back in 2012. According to the study, on an average, more than 25% of companies' market value is directly attributable to its reputation. So that was way back in 2012. Unfortunately, we do not have any recent study, to talk about the percentage being linked to reputation right now. But in a highly connected world of today, where reputation can be globally attacked with just a few keystrokes, that number is likely to be much, much higher. According to Aon's Global Risk Management Survey 2019, which was conducted this year, reputation risk was ranked at number 2 among the top 15 rated risks. Reputation risk thus is a wide domain, And due to this, it is extremely important to understand and manage the reputation risk being faced by an organization today. So let's understand some more details about the risk, what, who, and how. Reputation risk being a key business challenge is a top strategic risk, and if not properly managed, can escalate into a strategic crisis. And due to this, responsibility for reputation risk resides with the highest level of the organization, that is the board and the management. Uh, Reputation risk is driven by a wide range of other business challenges that must be actively managed. That is, reputation risk is not a solo risk. There are a lot of other risks that are drivers to the reputation risk, and it's very important for us to understand and manage them well to manage the reputation risk. Similarly, customers are the most important stakeholders, and it is very important to manage customer expectations for managing reputation of an organization. Some of the key drivers, reputation risk drivers, let's discuss them. Now, topping the list are risks related to ethics and financial integrity, such as fraud and bribery and corruption. Next comes security risk, including both physical and cyber breaches. Followed closely by product and service risk, which can also be spoken about as ethical leadership. So some of these need to be managed well for management of reputation risk. Third-party relationships are another rapidly emerging area, with companies increasingly being held accountable for actions of suppliers and vendors. So it's very, very extremely important for companies also to understand the risks, the reputation risks that can come from third parties, including their credit and financial positions, the reputation of the third parties in the market, the business continuity and resiliency of the third parties, the information security practices being followed by the third party vendors, the strategic and compliance and operational frameworks being followed by the third parties. So it's extremely important for organizations to be aware of the third party risks. Reputation problems have the biggest impact on revenue and brand value, followed by regulatory investigations. So companies should be well aware of the exposure to reputation risks, since making or breaking the company's reputation can make or break a company. This is well explained by a quote by the CEO of Coca-Cola, that if I lost all my factories and trucks being kept, but kept the name Coca-Cola, I could rebuild my business. But if I lost my name, the business would collapse. Another reasons why risk needs to be managed well. Now, in the age of social media of today, reputation risk has gained new prominence across industries, right? So, however, despite the increasing importance of the risk, the vast majority of firms do not have a well thought out strategic approach to reputation risk management. Instead, reputation risk is typically approached as a crisis management issue today, focusing primarily on the aftermath of the event, right? So, we are not really going ahead and managing it beforehand or putting a framework in place. We are looking at incidents as they arise. Good risk management strives to identify potential risk before materialization in order to avoid or minimize the exposure of a firm to these risks. Reputation risk being the newly discovered risks on the radar, there is no consensus on how to define them today. According to a recent survey, only 52% respondents treated them as risks in their own right, and 48% thought of them as a consequence of poorly managing other risks. Also, reputation risk is not a part of existing risk management frameworks like COSO as well as Basel II, which is applicable to financial institutions. They do not talk about reputational risk in detail. We also do not have tools and techniques and well-defined processes available for measuring and managing reputation risks. And due to this, there are no clear views on what constitutes the best practice for managing of reputation risks today. So let's look at some of the typical reputation risk examples. Of course, since this is a new risk on the radar, we have too many examples available. In fact, every day, on a daily basis, we do, see some of the other news come out, which is impacting the reputation of an organization. So we have just picked a few of the examples. One of them was a very recent case where, it's related to product services quality and prices of a product, which was like a nationwide ban imposed on Maggi by FSSAI for containing lead more than the permissible limit. Similarly, top executives in financial services firms were being forced to resign. Were forced to resign after the employees were caught manipulating markets or making reckless trades. Another example was where company leaders had posted strong controversial comments online, impacting the reputation of the organization. Similarly, sometimes brand mentions by celebrities or political figures can have an impact on an organization. Um, One of the process and security related risks was where a leading retailer faced loss of sales after losing large amounts of customer and credit card data by cyber attacks. So in many of these cases, problems such as these can be prevented or contained if the organization actively manages reputation risk. So, it's not that everything can be internally managed, but a lot of the risks, especially arising internally, can be managed if we have a right framework in place. And let's look at the measurement of risks, reputation risk measurement practices. The goal of reputation risk measurement actually is to support the overall reputation risk management framework of an organization. Now, approaches to measurement of reputation risk have been developed since early 2000. However, the most widely accepted approach is that of quantifying the reputation risk. That is, there is an attempt to assess the monetary value of the whole reputation capital of an organization. The quantitative elements include loss data collection, that is both internal and external, estimation of reputation risk losses, and ultimately the impact on financial performance and capital requirements of the particular institution. Some of the examples would be loss of sales, that is the current and future, market capitalization loss. The impact varies by risk event type, with fraud-related events having significant reputation risk losses, like over 100% of announced loss can be faced by organization when it is a fraud-related event. The initial reputation brand of a firm is also an important factor driving the loss, where the reputation risk loss is more than doubling when an event happens to a firm with a strong brand. So so quantitative method is like where we go ahead and quantify the risks arising from the reputation event. Now, these elements need to be complemented by a host of more qualitative approaches as well, as such as good controlled self-assessments, as well as supported by clear governance responsibilities, high quality crisis management, communication, and public relations processes within an organization to ensure that the reputation risk framework works properly. Let's look at some of the reputation risk case studies. Yeah, this is this Facebook's data scandal early in 2018 was it's a very recent case, and it's something that took the social media world by storm. So the case related to compromise of customer privacy, and that caused the #1 social media platform not only huge financial impact and erosion of market capitalization, but even led Facebook's CEO Mark Zuckerberg to issue public apology. Right, so let's look at what happened. The summary of the case is defined here. The Facebook data scandal was a major political scandal in early 2018, where it was revealed that Cambridge Analytica, one of the partner firm of Facebook, had harvested the personal data of millions of people, millions of people's Facebook profiles without their consent, and used it for political purposes. Now, this has been described as a watershed moment in the public understanding of personal data and precipitated a massive fall in Facebook stock price. Facebook director Mark Zuckerberg apologized for the situation on CNN, calling it an issue, a mistake, and a breach of trust. In fact, in April, they decided to implement the General Data Protection Regulation in all areas of operation uh, as a response to the data leakage. So what went wrong? Let's look at this. In 2013 itself, an academic in Britain built a questionnaire app for Facebook users, which 270,000 people answered. They in turn had 15 million Facebook friends. Data on all these people then ended up with CA. So now the 270,000 people who signed up had actually given their consent to sharing the data. But the other 15 million Facebook friends, their friends had not consented to sharing of data, and even their data ended up with CA. Now, Facebook knew of this problem in 2015 itself, but it did not alert the individual users, right? So there was the problem was already existing, and Facebook knew of it, but there was no action taken for it. The episode fits an established pattern of sloppiness towards privacy, tolerance of inaccuracy, and loss of reputation today. What was the damage? Loss of market capitalization, share price, several fines amounting to billions of USD, loss of business, and an enormous amount spent on defending lawsuits. Also, one of the major things was that Facebook's reputation has taken a hit. Now, according to a survey that was conducted by Populus, which was done post-crisis, Facebook's reputation credit score had decreased significantly. A lot of organizations now, which had Facebook account as one of their, corporate ways of being in touch with people, companies like Telsa, Mozilla, and SpaceX have stopped posting on Facebook page. A lot of organizations have stopped associating with the organization. Similarly, many firms have stopped funding the Facebook ad campaigns, because they no longer want to be associated with a company which is seen as facing a reputation crisis. Obviously, the impact or to correct, Facebook needs to have a full independent examination of its approach to content privacy and data. Some of the other case summaries. We have picked the major case summaries here because there are otherwise too many. The first case summary involves major banks, and is relevant to LIBOR market manipulation. So the discovery of secret, long-standing attempts to interfere with open market rate setting revealed remarkable governance shortfalls in banks such as Barclays and UBS. The systemic effects of such behaviors resulted in senior executives' resignations, greater regulatory scrutiny, and reform of LIBOR rate setting mechanism itself. Another major case, was that of Toyota, and as related to defective accelerators and brakes. Toyota is a very well-known brand in the automobile industry. So they need to recall more than 14 million vehicles worldwide, led to an estimated global loss of $2 billion in repairs and missed sales, in addition to at least 1.1 billion in litigation, settlements, and fines. So Toyota's US market share tumbled from a market-leading 17% to a 14.4%. So it was a market-leading brand. And within 3 years of the incident, it became that market share became third, behind Ford and General Motors. So those are the kind of repercussions that can impact an organization post the reputational risk event. Now let's look at reputation risk mitigation framework. How do we ensure that? What kind of framework an organization can really put in place to manage the reputation risk? Despite the fact that reputation risk generally requires the materialization of a risk event, reputation risk needs to be evaluated independently from other risks and generally requires dedicated resources within institutions and specific attention from boards and regulators. All events do not have the same potential for reputation risk losses. Institutions can better manage the true risk exposure by understanding which type of event carry the largest reputation risk and factoring in the hidden cost. So ideally, risk management framework for reputation risk would involve establishing reputation risk policy, creating risk inventory, establishing controls and guidelines to ensure identified risks have a mitigation plan, building awareness through internal and third-party vendor trainings, and carrying out periodic reputation risk audits. So the first step within the framework would be setting up or establishing a reputation policy. Now, the reputation risk policy as a part, needs to be created as a part of the overall risk management strategy that includes scope, definition, owners and valuators, criticality, and authorization. The policy needs to be approved by the board and used as an overall guidance. The second step would be to establish a reputation risk inventory. For this, we could follow a top-down or bottom-up approach. The top-up approach would entail identifying critical business areas and identifying material reputation risks within those areas and documenting these. Under the bottoms-up approach, department heads can be made responsible for listing the risk categories within their area of activity, followed by listing risks in each of these categories. These then need to be identified against critical business areas. So we could use any of these approaches to establish a reputation risk library. Of course, once we establish a library, we'd be surprised at how many reputation risks we really face at an organization level. So, according to Reputation Risk Institute, the institute describes a reputation risk event as one that can affect each of the dimensions in the following ways. So these are the areas where we could find reputational risks. One of them is products and services. So issues that reduce people's belief that company delivers high quality products and services that are good value for the money. The next area is innovation. So people need to see the organization as an innovative company that brings new products and services. So this is a hidden risk. It's like normally this is not something that is easily easily seeable by within an organization, because if somebody is not innovating, it doesn't look like a risk, but then it can still culminate into a reputation risk, because people want to see organizations that are innovative. Workplace related risk, where we want to see whether a company has a good environment for employees and employees are treated well. Similarly, the governance issues that will governance issues where people want to see organizations having open, honest, and fair environment, and people want to see the organizations as fair in the way they do their business. Citizenship, people want to see organization acting as good corporate citizens who care about local communities and the environment. So if we see an organization that does not really care for the environment, people tend to at least it does have an impact on the on its sales. A lot of people would not want to associate it with the organization. Leadership, now people's believe that management has clear vision for the future and run a well-organized company. Performance related, where people want to believe that a company is a profitable company with strong growth prospects. So these are some of the areas where we could look for building our reputation risk library. So some of the effects that an organization can face in the event of reputation risk crisis include business crisis. Companies can go into a business crisis. There could be project failures, litigation costs, break in business continuity, loss of market share, brand value erosion, reputational damage, obviously, loss of key staff. A lot of staff can leave, in case of a reputational event, loss of customers, increased insurance cost, creditors losing their money, individuals losing their saving, in case there's a liquidity issue with the organization failing and after an event. Then people losing their pensions. Now, before the threats turn into risk events, warning signs start to show up early. So some of the early warning indicators of reputation risks can be increase in customer complaints, increase in staff complaints, breaches of internal control, increase in operational errors, increase in system outages, incidences of internal and external frauds, cases of staff negligence, breach of ethical code of conduct. Similarly, there are cases where articles and news snippets, benchmarking studies, research papers in the media. Any other risk event that can affect the reputation. High staff turnover, that could be an indication of reputation risk. Being on the radar, insufficient staffing, poor service quality, staff incompetence, misconduct, employee disputes. Some of the reputation risk best practices would be I discuss now here. It would be good corporate governance, effective board of directors. There's a department established to address customer complaints. Then a fraud risk management policy is important. Shareholder survey to understand what shareholders are thinking about the organization. Customer feedback, that is a very, very important practice to put in place. Legal department handling legal cases to avoid litigation. Similarly, establishing a media communication policy to control releasing news to press crisis management committee. Establishing crisis management committees. And then internal communication with employees to keep them satisfied is also a very important practice that organizations can establish. Corporate social responsibility activities like donations, social cause activities. We could also form reputation management forum or group. Tracking number of positive, neutral, and negative news about the company in newspapers and other news-related media is also an important thing. Using search engines to keep in radar various linkages to company websites and check on fraudulent duplicate websites. Tracking customer grievances and its nature. These are all part of the best practices for managing reputation risk. So RiskPro's reputation risk auditing services now, we at RiskPro understand that reputation risk is important, and our project methodology involves 3 stages. First is developing reputation risk framework. Second stage being reputation risk assessment, and third being reporting and training on reputation risks. So under the reputation risk framework, we can help with gap assessment against best practices relating to reputation risks. We can help establish reputation risk control policy for the organization. As a part of reputation risk assessment, we can create an inventory of reputation risk across the company, identification of owners, purpose, and criticality, and linkages of these risks to the overall business objectives. We can carry out testing of major reputation risk and prepare audit reports with results and recommendations. As a part of reporting and training, we could develop critical risk reporting templates for various committees and senior management. We could also conduct trainings on best practices relating to reputation risk management. So this brings us to the end of the topic. You can start looking at the questions. You can also mail us your questions at info@riskpro.in. Anita?
Mona, should I read out the questions to you?
Yes. Right.
All right. We have 2 questions for now. The first one is from Mr. Ramani. He asked, wouldn't reputation risk be a culmination or accumulation of all other risks?
Right. So, it is both actually. It is also a culmination of several other risks that an organization faces, and reputation risk can also lead to several other risks within an organization. Like for example, and each department can carry a reputation risk for an organization, and similarly, reputation risk itself, like what happened with Facebook, the sharing of data, that led to several other risks being faced by the organization. So it could be both.
All right. The next question is, how can a project fail with loss of reputation?
Okay. When a project is so if there is a loss of reputation, uh, that with the loss of reputation, a lot of vendors associated with the project get back off. Sometimes people don't want to be associated with. So suppose in the case of Facebook, we saw cases where a lot of companies stopped advertising on the media, right? Because it was they didn't want to associate with an organization which had its reputation at stake. So a lot of parties to the project could actually disassociate themselves with the project. Employees could leave. There could be so many repercussions leading to project failure.
So, Mona, we have only two questions for now. Participants, if you have any more questions, if you all can please ask over the chat. Okay, Mona, here's another question. How to quantify the impact of reputational risk in monetary terms?
Uh, so there'll be several uh, impacts of reputation risk. Some of them could be immediate, could be a loss of sales that an organization faces, current as well as future, right? Another could be that we look at the loss of market capitalization that an organization faces because of the risk event, right? There could be amount paid in filing lawsuits. There could be there could be a lot of fines and penalties that an organization faces. So all of these, the quantification of all uh, financial implications of the risk would amount to the total loss. Now, obviously, we cannot really quantify every aspect of it, but many aspects can be quantified for reputation risk.
Okay, one more question. How does having a policy help manage reputation risk?
Um, if we have a policy, the company is prepared to deal with reputation risk events, right? So in case of a reputation crisis, people know who to go to, who can really talk to the media, what is the first step in dealing with the crisis event. So when we have a policy framework in place, it kind of uh, gives people are prepared to deal with events. Also, people know whom to report the event to in case something goes wrong. So that is why it's very important to have a policy, like we have policy for any other process. Having a policy for reputation risk is really important to set the tone and set the framework for the for dealing with these risks.
Okay, and is there any other practical way to manage reputation risk? In all practicality, the senior management will not look at the policy.
Um, it is the so senior it is the responsibility of senior management to manage and drive the reputation risk policy framework. So it is important for them to look at it and ensure that the company has well laid out procedures and practices to ensure that the risk events are managed as much as possible. So it is their responsibility to look at it. And
All right.
also,
And
regular trainings to employees would help, in making the entire organization risk ready.
all right. And what kind of audits can we conduct for reputation risk?
So once we understand the risk library that an organization faces, we can go ahead and test, whether the organization has established controls to ensure the risks are mitigated. So we can go and audit to ensure that the controls that have been established for mitigation of reputation risks are effective and existing.
Okay. And we have one last question. As there is
Right.
no privacy law in India, we cannot
Right.
face issue like Facebook in India. Then how much does the reputation risk impact Indian companies due to social media?
In today's world, it's not about the law; it's about the word of mouth, really. Because when an issue occurs, we really don't look at, and when it goes viral, it does not matter whether there is a law on it. Once people start talking about it, it does impact the sales of an organization. It does have an effect on the market capitalization of an organization. So, irrespective of the laws, it is really important to manage them.
All right, thanks a lot, Mona. We're done with our questions, so we can conclude now.
Yeah, sure. So, thank you all for attending, and any further questions, you can send it to us on info@riskpro.in. Thank you all.
All right. Thank you, participants. Thank you.